Hello everyone and welcome back to the tutorial. This is tutorial number 3 and today we are hopefully going to finish the chair. A small interjection from before. As you can see, the chair is within the coordinate grids, but you can easily move everything out of the coordinate grid. It doesn't really do anything bad for you. It's just easier to work in the grid if you want, or if you need the background items, if you need the background grid for it to help you align objects and stuff. And the white lines showing the middle are really helpful. Yeah. Today we are going to go into vertex modeling a tiny bit. We're going to use two tools. Let me just quickly cancel out everything we don't need. As you can see, we use the first one and we will use the other one, the fourth or fifth one. Okay, everything else is not interesting for us. Okay. So we're going to start very simple primitives, grabbing a cube, making our cube, and this is going to be the start of our table. Next we're going to use the scale tool again and make this a platform for the table. So basically, yeah, this would be our table. And of course we can just stick 4 legs under it and say, okay, we're done. But I want to show you two new tools which you will probably need quite a lot, or I need them quite a lot. The first is called Tessellation, and I'm going to show you what it does in detail. We are going to switch from full object to select faces at first. And the Tesselate Tool, it's on the X button. So if you press X, two things happen. If you press X, first off, your manipulator tool disappears, and instead your cursor is now a cursor and it locks onto the nearest edge. It's highlighted in blue. What also happens is that your properties change into the Tesselate tool with 3 different options: free tessellate on points, edges and faces, tessellate by segment, and tessellate by slice. We are going to use tessellate on points, edges and faces today, at least for the start. So this is currently the free tessellation. So what I can do is basically subdivide all the areas into much smaller parts, and I can do this as freely as I want. And if you press accept or hit enter, both work, your change is finished. As you can see, I have a lot more faces now that I can choose from to manipulate and move. By the way, Control V is undo. This is the free tessellation. I'm undoing this now. Control V. And I'm going to show you the next tessellation. This one. First we are going to, so if I just press this, nothing happens. I need to select a face for this. I'm selecting the top of the face. And if I use this one, quad tessellation, you can see the better description here. Wait, I need to grab my pointy, my cursor. If I hover over it, it says quad tessellation, and what it does is it divides it into 4 equal faces. What this tool tries to do, the quad tessellation, is the edge, the face that you've selected will be divided, and it will try to make all the parts equally big and try to make the cuts in the middle of it, which in a usually on a rectangle it works rather well. we're going to redo. We're going to make that undo that, and I'm going to show you the triangular tessellation, which grabs the corners and connects basically opposite corners. So it gives you a lot of triangles to work with. This is also very useful, and you see me use this quite often because it helps you work around round shapes, round objects rather good. And the last one is the diamond tessellation. You don't really see me use this anywhere, and I think this has a very niche and very special use. Of course you can use it. For example, I could have used it in my last video about my 3D content and try to use this to make the belt, but I decided against it because it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah, but these are the options you have. Also, and here comes the fun part, if you select multiple objects, let me make this a bit bigger so you can see it. I can select multiple faces by holding shift. If you hold shift, your button disappears, your manipulator disappears, and instead when you hover over something you get the double arrows. You can select and deselect faces with this as long as I hold shift, and I can select multiple faces and deselect single faces while I do this. Okay, if I select two faces and I use, for example, the quad tessellation, it divides all chosen faces and it tries to manipulate to connect the lines when possible. So far so good. I'm going to undo this now, and now I'm going to show you why we want to use this tool. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press Control A. So you can hear in the upper corner, Control A means select all. In this case it means select all faces on the chosen object. So it doesn't select all faces it doesn't select all faces in the whole object, because the chair is unaffected. It selects all faces on the object that I'm currently having chosen in the scene tree. Right here. I have one object selected and all the faces of this object are selected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the quad tessellation. Now we have subdivided all these faces. Let me show you. All of these faces are subdivided, my bad. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look from the lower angle. We're going to grab all the faces. Actually, let's grab all faces. Control A. And we're going to subdivide again. And this will give us more faces to work with, which will help with our finished project, or with the finished table. So, table legs, right? Next, we're going to use the Select Edges tool. I'm going to show you another thing that is really important. Or that is not important. That is a good tool to help you. I want to select. Let me use my. I want to select these edges right here. The whole circle. And I can do this by just clicking on it, holding shift and clicking all the way down. But this can be quite tricky because, as you can see, could zoom in more and grab my faces all by themselves. Oh, and also, as soon as you stop using shift and you misclick, you can hit Control V once to undo your selection and reselect what you had, and go selecting. And while you have shift, while you're holding shift, you can also, if you selected a wrong, if you select the wrong edge, you can unselect it also by holding shift and pressing on it. There's an easier way to grab everything. One way is right click and select loop. In this case, what it tries to do is it selects all the connected or all the directly connected edges in a loop. So, quick example time. Let me remove this. Quick example time. We're going to select just this one face, just this one edge. Right click, select loop, and you can already see the button L is bound to this. So we have the whole selection. We're going to try this again. And now we're pressing L. And as you can see, it says select loop up in the corner for L, and it selected the whole loop. You can try this on multiple objects, and this is interesting. If you grab a corner, like here, the hexagon isn't sure what you want. Do you want the loop on the side? Do you want the loop around the top? What is it supposed to do? Where is it supposed to go? So it just selects the directly linked ones, and since it has to make a decision, do you want to go downwards? Do you want to go to the side? Totally not sure. And yeah, you can select this. You can help by holding, for example, shift. Select multiple faces on the sides you want, and if you press L, you have your selection. Which also means you can press L, you can press L, and you have both rings selected basically. Play around with this. Just play around. Try to see what happens. Pause the video for this time, and when you're back, when you're done and you've played around with it a bit, you have gotten a grasp of what it does and what it doesn't do. We're going to go next. Okay, I hope you had a short break. Let's go into the legs. Selecting this loop, and I'm selecting this loop. And now I have two options. If I move them, you can see that both selections move. Yeah, I can also try to move them, and you can see that the middle selection doesn't move with it, so they're basically each their own. And what's interesting is how you can also, turn this. And now we're going to the interesting part. What happens if we use the scaling tool? If I scale this, we can move both of them more or less symmetrical to the outside, as you can see. And this is about the way we want. We're going to do the same for the on the long side, for the rows on the long side, with a little twist. We're going to look. I know we're going to do a bit more today. We're going to look at this smoothing tool. No, wait, wrong tool. We're going to look at the Symmetry Tool. This one here. This one, called Symmetry. So, what it does is, if you click on Symmetry, nothing happens. Oh, okay, actually something happens. It was weird. You have three coordinates. You have the coordinates x, y, and z here as well. If I press X, you can see that it does a green line around the X coordinate. So this is X, and here is the green line. And you can see that when I select a face, it selects another face in dark, which means if I manipulate one of these, the other one gets mirrored on the other side of the green. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into the Z coordinate. As you can see, I have selected an edge, pressing L. And now, if I use the translation tool, nothing really happens. Yeah, Before it went outside or inside, nothing happens now. If I turn it, it gets mirrored to the other side. Let me make a better angle for you. Yeah, you can see it works with the other side. And if I move it now, going into the front view here, you can see that it is mirrored again. So this is another way to go to mirrored and symmetric parts. This far about tessellation and about the Symmetry Tool. What is important? At some point you want to undo. So if you want to undo the Symmetry Tool, you don't click on the corner. You click on the Symmetry name, and then it deselects the tool. In case you ever wonder how do I get out of Symmetry? I have Symmetry. I don't want this anymore. What do I do? Click on Symmetry, and the tool is deselected. Doesn't work for all the tools actually. Okay. Last tool we're going to check out today is the Extrude Tool, which you can see I bound to Control and G. But I usually I'm a person I grab the tools from the tool rack, and I'm not for some I use very often. I have keybinds, but for most of them I use them from the rack. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going under the table. We are going to use the symmetry, as you can see, which means whenever I use a an area here, it gets mirrored to the other side of the tree. Of the table, my bad. And we're going to select both of the corner faces. Right now I'm in face selection again. And now we're going to use the extrusion tool. If I click on it, you see that your cursor is changing, but the properties are not. Properties staying the same. The tool is changing. It gets the arrow, it gets the yellow ball, and it gets the red cube. We are going to use the blue arrow this time. We're going to pull it a bit, and as you can see with the extrusion tool, we're basically making a new face, or we're making actually 4 new faces between the original selection and where we want it. And as you can see, we are still in the extrusion tool after using this once. And now it's gone. Because if you use the extrusion tool, usually you have a grace period, or you have a grace way to change your extrusion. And if you use it the second time, it locks your change in. A quicker way to... Okay, yeah. This, and if you click accept, you can basically just finish it after the first time. So again, if you want to, if you're done with this, and you can just click accept, and you can finish after the first time. And lo and behold, we have a table. Okay, this is it for this time. Go practice, do a bit of stuff, and next time we're going into subdividing objects, cutting off faces and stuff, and into a bit more detailed shaping of objects. Thanks for watching, and I hope I catch you next time.